Nation, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I'm going to be doing a true crime case. I did one in the past and you guys really seem to like it and you've been asking for more, so I decided to do more. I would have done one sooner, but I didn't really find a case that really just like spoke to me and was like, yes, this is a good case, or this was interesting to me. But I did come across a case today and I was like, whoa, that's super interesting. And I looked up to see if I found any like murder cases on it or like any other people doing cases on it, and I couldn't. So that's why I really wanted to do it, because I haven't seen a lot of people talk about it, and that's the kind of cases that I really want to start doing, because I want to bring light to cases that aren't really talked about. So that is why we're going to be talking about the Alice Sin murder case today. So Alice Sin was born to Hua and Ling Sin, and she was born in China, but she moved to the United States and moved to a city called Pinole that was like northeast of San Francisco, California. So Alice was a 21-year-old mother to a little baby boy, and she was said to be very like high-spirited, kind. She was very, very caring and very like into her relationships with people. She wasn't just the type to just like give up on anyone. She was very caring, and she was very thankful to her parents for actually moving her to the United States so that she could be given the opportunities that she now had living as a United States citizen. So Alice was living a pretty normal life, raising her son and also attending a local community college called UC Davis. She was in relations with 28-year-old Raymond Wong, who was also the father of their son. So Raymond was a tech consultant and was said to be very, very smart. He had graduated college, he owned a few homes, and he was basically just said to be very, very smart and very intellectual. Raymond and Alice started dating while Alice was attending college at UC Davis. However, this was all like their little love that they had and everything like that was just about to end, because Raymond actually had a side girlfriend named Jessica Tang that he was also having relations with, which Alice also knew about, and so did Jessica. And this started a feud between both of the girls because, you know, one wanted Raymond and the other wanted Raymond, and Alice had a child with Raymond, so it was very, very a tricky situation for both of them. So to make this whole little love triangle worse, both females actually end up getting pregnant, Alice with her second child by Raymond and Jessica with her first. This obviously just caused a big blow up of just anger and hate, but Alice took to herself to write Raymond a letter basically saying that they needed to get this situation figured out so that they could raise their child together, and basically just so they could be a family to their already having son and their baby that was on the way. However, this little happy fairy tale that Alice had created was never going to actually end up happening, because a few days before Thanksgiving, Alice goes missing and Raymond calls the police and is like, hey, my girlfriend went missing and da 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 da. But people were very, very confused by this, because Alice was not the type of mom to just up and leave her son. She cared for her son a lot and she was deeply in love with her child, and she was not the type to just be like, oh hey, I'm leaving, like I'm not gonna like answer, I'm not gonna return any phone calls. That was very, very unlike her. So this is why people were very, very confused as to how she could just up and just disappear like this. So immediately after Alice is reported of being missing, the cops start searching and they actually find her car in a shopping center parking lot, which also had a $2 million life insurance policy, which would mean that Raymond would become the beneficiary after Alice would have passed away, and this was found in her car in this parking lot. So what made this case a little bit more directed towards Raymond as being the key suspect is Jessica Tang actually moved in with Raymond shortly after Alice's disappearance. And that's just all is confusing, because if your girlfriend just gone missing and the mother of your child, it's like you're gonna be heartbroken. You're not gonna be wanting your side girlfriend to be moving in with you that fast. So when the police actually found out that Jessica had moved in with Raymond, they were immediately attracted to Raymond and seeing him as a suspect. So they asked him, you know, do you have more to do with this? Do you know anything? And he of course said no, and he agreed to have a polygraph test, which he failed tremendously, but they couldn't really hold him on this, so they had to let him go. But they still didn't give up on him being the main suspect, so they started to look more into Raymond, and they actually found that he was watching films of women being beaten and basically being tortured, raped, as well as child pornography, which he did get arrested for in 2001 for the account of child pornography. So Raymond actually ended up serving 2 years for watching child pornography, and then once he was released from prison, he fled to China. So basically he disappeared later fled to China and lived in China for 3 full years before anything had been heard about him again. So basically Alice's case had gone unpunished, and they didn't really have full hard proof evidence that Raymond had committed this crime, so they were just at a loss and they didn't know what to do. So how Raymond got turned in was he actually went to the FBI in Hong Kong and was trying to be an undercover detective for the United States as well as Hong Kong. So in order for him to do this, he would have had to have proved that he could go from the United States to China legally. So he created a fake passport and got caught for this, and this is how he actually got caught and was taken in. So once the police had actually had him in custody, they could only hold him for a certain amount of time. So they started working really fast, and they actually asked for Jessica to come forward and confess about everything that had happened. And they said that this was probably one of the most hard interviews that they had ever had to do as a police force, because they were having to get her to admit to this crime that she had also played a part in, as well as admitting to everything that Raymond had done and everything that had happened in November. So Jessica's interview, like I said, was probably one of the hardest interviews that this police force had gone through. So this interview actually took place over many days. This wasn't just like she came in and confessed to this. This interview took her multitude of days to actually come forward and confess to everything that had happened. So what Jessica had said that had happened was that Raymond had basically told Jessica that they were going to drive Alice out to this desert and they were going to commit this crime, and he had also told Alice the same exact thing, that they were going to drive Jessica out to this desert and commit this crime. So this is how he basically got both females in the car to go out with him to the crime scene. However, Jessica knew the truth of what was going to be going on, and she knew everything that was going to be happening and taking place, but Alice did not. So on their way to Churchill County, Nevada, they actually pulled over at a rest stop, and people actually confirmed that this was Alice and Raymond, and they also confirmed that there was another Asian woman sitting inside the car who did not get out, but they couldn't really pinpoint if it was Jessica or not, but they did confirm that it was Raymond Wong and Alice Sin. So after they leave the rest stop, Raymond pulls over to a very secluded area, and him and Alice actually get out of the car and go to the back and are arguing and bickering. And this is when Raymond actually pulls out the gun and shoots Alice, and then rushes to the back seat and pulls out Jessica and makes her shoot Alice as well. Jessica had said that she was very scared that if she refused to shoot Alice, that he was going to kill her as well. So this is why she just went ahead and did what he said. And then as soon as she got done shooting her, she went right back in the car and said that this is whenever Raymond committed all the hideous crimes that he did to Alice. So Alice's body wasn't actually found until the following year by 2 mining inspectors who actually came upon her, and what they discovered was very horrific and very disturbing at that. She was halfly covered in sand. Her body was very mutilated. When she was found, her body had actually been defaced. She had been scalped, and there was also badger markings as to where animals had gone after her whenever she had been out in this desert, as well as what hint as this being towards Raymond was her uterus was actually removed, which would be as the reason as to why it would have been Raymond, as they had a child on the way, which was just very disgusting and makes me almost want to cry, because like that is so disgusting that someone did that to her. Like, she was left out in a desert and completely mutilated. So the only clue that was actually left as to who her murderer was some Monopoly money that had actually had some messages left on it, which were ZOG and ZNG. NWO standing for New World Order, and ZNG standing for Zionist Occupied Government, and these were both white supremacist groups. And these were apparently only placed so that the police wouldn't try to come at Raymond. They would think it was some white supremacist groups that were trying to come after Alice. But the police had actually found out that Raymond had actually sent an email to a news headquarters, basically trying to act as if he was this white supremacist group and that was claiming the murder of Alice. But they actually later tracked it down to this internet cafe that Raymond had actually been at. And this was not the only piece of evidence they actually found to connect him to this murder. He was actually found to have looking up driving directions that were leading him to the place of Alice's murder, as well as he was looking into buying guns, as well as researching these 2 white supremacist organizations that he wrote on this Monopoly money to try to frame them for Alice's murder. So with all this evidence being collected, as well as Jessica's confession tapes, they convicted Raymond Wong with being guilty of the murder of Alice sin. He was sentenced to 50 years to life in prison. So the actual murder took place in 1999 and he wasn't convicted until 2011, I believe. I might be wrong. It said that it was over 15 years, but that doesn't add up. That's not 15 years. So I don't know exactly when he was actually convicted. I just know that he was charged with 50 years to life in prison, as well as it did take over a dozen years for him to finally get convicted. As you guys can see, I did get a little bit emotional towards this case because I don't know, this case just kind of talked to me and it just like really like stuck with me, and I really wanted to share it with you guys because it's just insane to me how people can do such heinous crimes and think that they're just going to get away with it or just be unaffected by it. It's just, it blows my mind and I'll never fully understand it. However, if you guys did like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, as well as don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below so that you can become part of the #SavNation, as well as don't forget to turn on your post notifications so that you can be notified whenever I post, and don't forget to comment down below whenever you're done so that you could possibly be a post notification shout out. But this video's post notification shout out goes to Mariah X Lindsay. So thank you so much for having my post notifications on. It means a lot. But yeah, like I said, I hope you guys liked this video and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!